Okay, now let's take a look at the key elements of organizational structure. And the first one is observe behavioral regularities. And say regularities, which means that these values or languages or rituals are common or normal among members of the organization. Say, for example, kanang amo ang morning devotion. No, even if we are Roman Catholics, and then that morning devotion is sa kuan na siya sa UCCP, but still because of observed behavioral regularities, we sort of just think of the morning devotion as a part as a part of our weekly duty. So more na siya og nahimong parte na namo it. We don't have to question whether or not is it against or within our religious perception, pero mura na siya mo na example sa observed behavioral regularities. Mura na siya og nahimo ra pong it's a regular occurrence, no, every week. Okay, norms. Okay, so the norms that evolve in working groups, such as the norm as fair days work for a fair days pay. So what is norms that exist in an organization? So usan is just sa mga cultural organizational culture present, no, and usapod na sa tan-awon sa employee whether or not these norms coincide with his principles in life. Okay, the third is the dominant values. The dominant values espoused by an organization such as product quality or low prices. Now, when we say dominant values, kana bang what are the values that the organization upholds and you as a member of the organizations is also trying to uphold, no? So, an example given this is the product quality or the low prices. So, those are examples of the dominant values. Philosophy. Okay, so the philosophy that guides an organization's policy toward employees and customers. Now, this is also very important because, as I have mentioned before, the organization is composed of varied and different personalities with different principles in life, different religious convictions. So, philosophy is really important. Does an organization have the philosophy, no, that is incongruent with your own philosophy? If not, oh, so that is why there are employees who tend to resign from an organization. Way manguta na ka ngano ning resign man ka, uy nga kadako na ka og ranggo siya maadyo pud ang kuan na nindot pud kag kanang the salary is also wise, and then your coworkers and everything are also nice, but then because sa nabiya tay self actualization, diba, so if it is not satisfied, so mo na nga mangita ka og organization that will satisfy, no? That is part in the philosophy. What are the philosophy that guides an organization's policy? Was it fair for you? Kay basig fair para nimo but unfair para ni siya, di ba? So, mo na siya ang gitawag nato og philosophy. Okay? Next is rules of the game. Now, the rules of the game for getting along in the organization, the ropes. Now, this pertains to the rule that a newcomer must learn to become an accepted members. So this is very self-explanatory man tingali, mabag. How does the members of an organization moves along? So kung if you are a newcomer, tanaw na nimo, what are the rules of the games? Usa ilang style diri, no? Mga kuan ba ni sila diri? Are they particular on this particular thing? Are they lax on this particular thing. So na, that is one of the elements of organizational culture. Okay. Next is feeling of climate. Now, the feeling of climate that is conveyed in an organization by physical layout and the way in which members of the organization interact with one another, customers and outsiders. So, maka-differentiate maka one company is mo ni they have a very warm environment, while other company they have this competitive environment. So mo na gitawag na to feeling of climate. So asa man ka, asa ka best mo excel na mo na imong tan-awon mo na tan-awon sa HR manager. So say for example na ay key employee, but with respect to the organizational culture nga feeling of climate, di siya effective nga i-pressure siya, like marbag dili siya productive if you will be giving that particular employee the pressure. Mas productive siya kung marbag pasagdan nimo, di ba? Sa in management we have the theory X and the theory Y, no? Those people that can work on their own without supervision, and those people who can work with more supervision. So mao na, that is one of the elements of the organizational culture. Okay, so technically firms that make cultural adjustments, meaning to say that the firm that will adjust according to what is really common among the workforce, no, to keep up with environmental changes are likely to outperform those whose culture is rigid and unresponsive to external jolts. Okay. Okay, so although technology is changing rapidly in many areas such as robotics, now this mo na gyud na in karon, no? So we even fear, no, hindi nga maabot ang panahon nga pulihan na ta og robot, no? One area in particular is revolutionizing human resource information technology. The impact of technology to business are the following: the rise of telecommuting and the ethics of proper data use. So, because technology makes information easy to store, retrieve, and analyze, the number of company employees working at home, no, that refers to commuters, at least part-time has been increasing by 15% annually. Now, because of this. So, even in Facebook na ay daghang mga advertisement about work from home o kanang work. I even stumbled on the kadtong yours manita, I forgot the name of the kanang website, yours or you. So they are advertising for a paid writer, no. So I was interested because of course I write stories. So mo tong akong gi-visit. So mo na siya one of the advent of technology, no, the rise of telecommuting. No, because telecommuting arrangements are expected to continue to grow in the future, that they raise many important issues such as performance monitoring and career planning. Now that is the downside of telecommuting pod. How do you assess the performance, or how do you monitor the performance of your employees, and what are the career plans of these people that are working from home ra, 'di ba? So mo po na dyan downside. So for the ethics of proper data use, no, data control, accuracy, right to privacy, and ethics are at the core of a growing controversy brought about by the new information technologies. When I say data control, accuracy, right to privacy, no, marbag how do companies store your data as an employee nga dili sa magamit sa uban nga company? So that is a challenge, no, having this particular technology now, especially nga kana bang when we kanang unsay nga ana mo access ta over the internet, no, pagtuo ra ba jud nato kay so na kanang we are invincible, mean to say more di ta ma-trace, but sige pagmata kay everything every time nga mo access ka ani nga internet ani nga website, your information are being sent to a database, and then companies are going to use and utilize those information. So mo pud na ang murag disadvantage of this technology. Sleepy naman ko eh. Are we going to finish this kanina man last slide and then tomorrow na po? Okay, let's talk about the strategic HR policies benefits. Okay, so one of the benefit of HR policies is encouraging proactive behavior, communicating company goals, stimulating critical thinking and examination of assumptions, the identification of gaps between current situation and future visions, encouragement of line managers' participation, and identification of HR constraints and opportunities. And the last is creating common bonds. Now, the process of formulating HR strategies and establishing programs or tactics to implement them is called strategic human resources planning. Now, SHRP, when done correctly, provides direct and indirect benefits. Okay, so of course the first one is encourage proactive behavior. So as part of planning, now HR managers and organizations must be proactive. Diba I have mentioned before what is proactive? So rather than reactive, to stay ahead competitively. So if you want to stay ahead competitively, you have to be proactive. Di lagi magtulog-tulog sa pansitan. Be a chismosa. Okay? Being proactive means looking ahead and developing a vision of where the company wants to be and how it can use human resources to get there. An example of this could involve finding creative ways to hold on to key employees during challenging times for the organization. So, say for example, one particular organization is not actually gaining, but with strategic HR planning, you should have a vision on how to retain key employees, no, during the challenging times that the organization is facing. Okay, that is one of the benefits of the HR policies. And then second is communicating company goals. Now, strategic HR planning can help a firm develop a focused set of strategic objectives that capitalizes on its special talents and know-how. This yields all organizational members being in the know and productively aligning with organization's goals. Now, when we say communicating company goals, this is very important. Now, very good po na og race that you have to be unified of where you are going. So, if you are not unable or if you are not able to communicate the company goals, so remember that your employees has their own strategies and tactics, no, in reaching the goal. So you should always have to make sure na ma-communicate ni mong company goals kay para mabag they are still on track. Kay basig pagkahuman sa ka-realize na mga Jesus to anan nagkuan naman di ay maling landas naman di ay mga employees. away from the from the company goals, 'di ba? So you have to um, make sure that your employees has instilled your company goals even in an institution baya, 'di ba? Mabito nang og pagpasign mong Excel kay pangutanon mo what are the vision mission of the College of Asin. Hasulan ra ba mo, may ra ba mo nakakapoy sa memorize. Oy, you don't have to memorize. You have to know it by heart because that is the company goals. So you are part and stakeholder of a company. So you should be a part of it. Okay, you are part of the success of the College of Asin, di ba? Without you, the College of Asin won't be where it is now. Okay, stimulating critical thinking and examination of assumptions. Managers often depend on personal views. And di man siya ni malikayan kay what is kung manager na kamugara biya ka. So I am genius. I am a genius. I am a manager. Diba? Iyan ang biya ta as always. No? So they usually rely on their personal views and experiences to solve problems and make business decisions. Now, the assumptions on which they make their decisions can lead to success if, and only if, they are appropriate to the environment. Now, remember that, bisan pag unsa ka ka-bright as a manager, you have or you are in an environment that is volatile and changing. So, you have to consider the environment gajud. What are the changes in the environment? Kay rigid ra kami kag di mo ni sakto mo ni nakatunan ho sa kuan the College of Asin di si gara-gara, but remember that you are now in a different place, wala ka College of Asin, di ba? So mo na, you have to be mindful that your how you decide or make a decision should be appropriate to the environment in which the business operates now. So, however, serious problems can arise when these assumptions no longer hold. By encouraging critical thinking and examinations of assumptions are key to organizational success. Now, nindot man jud nang that is why if you notice, no, dagko ba kay magba mo reklamo pa di jud ko ganahan aning ko ani mamdaklan uy kay makaupaw ko no mga quizzes examinations makaupaw ko no lisod unsa pa so without you realizing that actually you are practicing unsa yung practice practice kamatay. You are practicing critical thinking. I am stimulating your critical analysis with these problems, questions. No, sometimes we have to be kanang maglax ra pero not at all times. You're going to become manager someday and then you don't know how to stimulate your critical thinking. Oh my god, if I will be the CEO, I will never hire you. Not in my watch. There's the 30. Okay. Okay, so mao na. That is very important. The benefits of stimulating critical thinking and examination of assumptions. You have to examine your assumptions if it resonates like 90% of reality. Okay? And assumptions will always be an assumptions. Bisabag unsa ka klaro. So you have to examine them. Mabitang nag-assume ra ka kay you are not sure about it. Diba? Okay, number 4 is identification of gaps between current situation and future vision. So when you say asking the questions, where are we today and where do we want to be, is the first step in strategic planning that will help members set the identified gaps between the two. So, in of course, in management, dapat kay baw kag hai ka ug asa ka padong so that you will know what to do in order to get there. Or else, kung wa ka kahibaw ana, ayaw pagtuga-tuga og manager dai. Okay? Sure na, mutaob ang barko. Okay? Even those kanang mga kapitan sa barko, they are aware asa sila dihang dapita sa dagat ug asa sila padong. So they would know asa sila mo kambyo, unsa ilang buhaton, so ingan ra pud na. Okay? And the next is encouragement of line managers' participation. So, as this aspect is key because they know what's going on in the organization because they live it day to day. It goes to say it is important to start in the bottom so you can have a full view at the top. So you should, HR policy should encourage the line managers. Kaya naman doon pamugon sa tong line managers, diba? Ka na mga frontliners. Di ka na bang those that will deliver the products and services. So which means that sila ang nasa battlefield. So they know more about what's going on kaysa nimo nga naa kasi mga opisina nga bugnaw kaayo. So encourage participation of line managers when it comes to decision making. Kay they know more, trust me, they know more about what's going on kaysa nimo. Okay? Number 6 is identification of HR constraints and opportunities. So, when overall business strategy planning is done in combination with HR strategic planning, firms can identify the potential problems and opportunities and do something about it. So, it's just a matter of early detection of a potential problem and then do something about it. Proactive, diba? We have been talking about HR managers should be proactive. Okay? And the last is, last na gajud. And the last is creating common bonds. Now, research shows that those organizations that have a strong sense of who they are tend to perform better than those that do not. So, bati kung ang organizations nagbarangay-barangay like usa ka pundok lain pud sila ilang adto pud usa ka pundok. That's why we have team building in order to create bonds, no? So that's it. That is the strategic HR policy and some of its benefits.